Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I am the Crypto Crow. Today, one of the first things I'm going to talk about is a Cardano scam that you definitely need to be privy to as we continue to move forward, because people are already getting their wallets drained from this scam, and it involves Midnight and the fake, basically a lot of fake effort. Oftentimes when you see, when you're watching my videos and you go into my comments, you see an abundance of spam bots, and I go through and I try to get rid of them as best I can, and they just keep coming. And there's no way. I mean, it doesn't matter how many of us YouTubers, the same on Facebook. They have all of these bots that they can set up that create new usernames, new user accounts, boom, 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 boom. And then they go in and just spam the comments. Chat with me. Thanks for watching my video. Let's discuss all kinds of stuff. Hit me on WhatsApp. Now I'm seeing a lot of stuff associated with some bullshit Amazon thing. AM something something. And there'll be 30 comments just blasting on my page. And it's all bullshit. It's all scams. So you got to be privy to this. You got to understand what's happening. This, however, is something a little different. Cardano scam alert. Impersonators use privacy token Midnight's fake site to drain wallets. This is a big deal, and I'm sure this isn't the first, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last. But Cardano development team member Tim Harrison has revealed a new scam case involving a new project called Midnight, which is a legitimate product. It's a legitimate project, but there's nothing with it yet. This is all basically being worked on. Using fake Twitter accounts made to look like well-known Cardano influencers, attackers are luring inattentive followers. Inattentive basically meaning you see something and you don't go and double check the username. You don't really try to cross-reference it, but the letters to see if they just changed an O to a 0 or a 0 to an O or an I to a 1, that sort of thing, which is what they do. Or they use underscores and different symbols. I mean, they'll create 1,000 different variations of a real username. And then they ultimately fill up the followers using bot accounts, which is one of the reasons why it's a little trickier to try and impersonate people that have a lot of followers, because it's more work that they have to do. And the second that gets banned or reported or whatever, then they have to start all over again. But anyway, to the fake Midnight Project website, an offering to exchange Cardano for Dust, which you're not going to have to do, because as I understand it, Dust is going to be, if you're delegating your ADA to a node like the Crow node, CROW, when this stuff kicks in, you're just going to start getting Dust rewards as a part of your ADA rewards. I think you're going to start getting multiple tokens at the same time. I'm pretty sure that's how I've read it. So there is no swap for this. This is all fake. The new project's native token, of course, their wallets are further emptied. Be aware and please report this: a scam site being pushed by a bot-supported impersonator of the legit and much-loved Cardano whale. Midnight is still in development and no token is available. Official website, midnight.iohk.io. And they'll change these O's to zeros and things, and people generally don't notice. The Midnight project is currently in development and has not yet been launched. Furthermore, there is no token yet, says Harrison. The Cardano Wallet Eternal account also warned its followers about emerging scams, but provided a link to a different site, which indicates a wide variety of fraudulent sites from attackers. This is not the first such example of fraud that has been circulating on Twitter lately, and more specifically on its crypto branch. Recently, such attempts to hijack other people's funds have become more frequent and more sophisticated. Folks, if you're in crypto and you're being lazy about what you're doing and you're trying to chase a dragon, you're going to lose it all. It's just how it works. You cannot be lazy. When you see something that sounds too good to be true, it probably is, especially in crypto. What do crypto scammers typically thrive on? They play on your greed. They play on your desire to turn 10 cents into $10. And they're always coming up with ways to impersonate all of us to try and scam you, to try and get you to send this or send that. Even stuff as simple as text with me on WhatsApp. They get your cell phone number when you do that. And then they can send you links to malware and different things that can infect your phone and other things. So Don't ever click anything you don't know. It's just that simple. You have to be safe. It is Friday and it's 3:17 my time. You're probably going to be watching this around 4:30 or so. I hope this all finds you well. We're going to cover a couple of more articles and then I'm going to bid you adieu to enjoy your weekend. Hopefully have a safe weekend. Live it up. Enjoy it. There's a lot of downside to come, but just ignore it. It's all going to get better at some point. Cardano adds over 20,000 new staking addresses on average every month for over a year. 20,000 new delegators. Where are you? Because I'd love to see you on the Crow node, folks. We've been around for, I don't know how many years now. I mean, for quite a while. Haven't went away yet. Yeah, Rich Dad. R. Kiyosaki says Bitcoin holders will get richer when the Fed prints trillions. And I haven't even read this yet, but ultimately I'm going to give you a little bit of a sentiment thing to chew on as we continue going down this bear market and everything going on in the world today. Here's what I think. Quite frankly, I'm going to put it all in a nutshell. Take it as you will. Initially we had, Republican powers in office and the administration was all about putting America first. And a lot of people think that's a bunch of garbage, but I think in the grand scheme of things, it was exactly what was happening. This is my perception of things. It's my opinion. It can mean nothing and it doesn't have to mean anything to you. But what I honestly believe is that when you have a global agenda in play and multiple countries working together to achieve the same goals, whatever they may be, I believe that our Republican representatives at the time were not playing into that. Not only that, but if you've seen their speeches at things like the World Economic Forum, where they were basically doing this to everybody there, you knew at that moment that he was basically saying, no, I'm not going to play this with you. We're going to go a different route because I'm all about the United States and making a United States great. I'm not even saying I'm a big Trump fan, okay? I think he's a cocky prick. Personally, that's also not to say, his personality to me is terrible. Okay. But, wasn't Steve Jobs a royal prick? And look what he had accomplished with what he was doing. So just because somebody's a royal prick doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have their mindset on doing things well and doing things that are going to benefit society as a whole. Okay. Take the personality traits out of the equation. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is what is put down on paper with pen. That's what matters. That's ultimately what counts. You don't have to like what somebody says. You don't have to like what I say. But if my actions are drastically different than what I am saying, if I'm a total asshole, but I'm doing all of these good things for people, well, maybe it's time to look at the good doings instead of just the personality. Not everybody's going to like all the same personality. But that's just, again, my opinion. But what I think ultimately happened is, for one way or another, he was removed. The new administration was put into place and started ushering in all of these policies that play in line with everything all of these other countries are doing. And if you watched my video that I talked briefly about little segments of things and how that's all kind of playing together, all these global elite, all these people working together for a very similar agenda. Well, in that, trillions of dollars were printed ad nauseum, money going left, right, center, with a tiny, tiny little fraction of those funds actually going to what they were written for, the bills and things that were passed to get these things, that get this money printed. And because of all of that crazy printing over the past few years, we are now here. And what I think ultimately what we're doing is all this money went out to all of these different places and people. I'm sure in one way or another, some of that's gonna come back to continue funneling and fueling the machine, so to speak, in hopes of perpetuating the trajectory that we are on right now, until the ultimate goal has been met. And now, because of all of that initial printing that went out, from day one, man, it's just like nobody wasted any time. I wonder why. But nobody wasted any time in anything that was happening. And it all seemed to just kind of happen all at once for the most part. It's like every time we turn around, there's a new executive order. Like, okay, this is done. Okay, that's done. We're canceling this. We're getting rid of that. this is going to start going up in price. That's going to start going up in price. We're just going to have to suck it up because it's for the greater good. And it's like, it just all started hitting everybody all at once. And there's still people oblivious. Like, there's still people that are so brainwashed that they're like, they read all this stuff, they see all the data, they see all this information, and they're just somehow, some way, it just still passes right through them like a fart to the wind. And I'm like, man, I wish some people just did not vote or play a role in any of this, because they obviously do not spend any real time doing anything other than watching like mainstream media. That's like where they get their perception. To me, that's just lazy. But, the powers that be count on the majority of the populace being as lazy as we are. I mean, let's just be real about it. And that's one of the reasons why they don't even really try hiding as much anymore, because they know nobody really gives a shit. And even if they do know and they're told, just here, right here, it's right here. And they're like, where? What are you talking about? I don't know. I think you're crazy. I think you're talking conspiracy theory. I don't see nothing. And that's basically the majority of our population, as sad as it is. And on top of that, we're also entitled. And just, it is what it is. But I think ultimately all of the stuff that's going on right now with the inflation and the interest rates, the interest going up, and all of these little efforts that are going on, the unemployment, all these major companies firing all these people, it's all part of the plan, because unemployment helps inflation. It helps fight inflation. So they want to get this back down to where I'm sure we kind of should be if we were still on track prior to printing all these trillions and trillions of dollars, but also with all of these new bills in place that provide all of this power to the people who initiated it to begin with. And then we're like back on track. And we've got all these bills that have limited this power, limited that power, cut this, cut that, got rid of all these things to continue ushering in this kind of global plan. And then, and then things will start to get better again. Maybe it takes another year. Maybe it takes 2 years. I don't know. But I think it's going to happen and probably line up pretty well with these cycles, because I think to some degree, the Bitcoin halving cycle, I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but the way this is all transpired, to me, is lining up very well to just another checklist of, okay, we get a little further here, this comes down, that comes down. All right, now we're going to institute a tokenization of digital assets, or tokenization of traditional assets. Okay, now we've got that. All right, now we got to surround this with proper regulation. We need to take a little bit more of the freedoms away from the people that are using all this stuff now. We got to get rid of a lot of the crap that's bogging down the machine. When it comes to crypto, there's a lot of useless, shady, shitty, scammy tokens. We got to get rid of those. All right, we're going to pass this bill, and then we're going to fund this new department probably to basically start playing the janitor, cleaning up the space. That way we're not mixing all this traditional valuable real assets that we're tokenizing, and they're not getting mixed up with like Dogecoin and like Shiba Inu and all of this shitty meme token garbage that shouldn't exist anyway. But so this is how things are going to move forward. And I think that a lot of this stuff is likely going to change in drastic ways before we even get into 2024. I think 2023 is going to be the year where the culmination of this whole great reset really does come to fruition. It's where we're going to start seeing the actual bottoms, not these proposed bottoms. Every time we go a little lower and come back up, everybody's like, we hit the bottom. No, we didn't. No, we didn't, because that's not even a part. No, we didn't. We're going to go lower. Okay. Until we've hit at least 12,000, I am going to assume we're going to continue going lower. But on the same token, I've always noticed that anytime we think the bottom is going to be 9,600, what happens? We're a grand or two shy. So maybe we bottom somewhere around 10 or 11,000, but we're definitely going lower than 15.4. It's just a matter of when. I believe it's going to be 2023. And I believe that a lot of this stuff is going to start really shaping up and really coming to fruition over 2023. By the time we get to the next halving in 2024, I'm willing to bet we have seen some significant changes in the crypto space, and it's all going to be in part to lay down the framework for the tokenization of traditional market assets, regulation to police those assets as tokenized assets. That's also going to spill into the current digital assets on the market, how they're dealt with, used, traded, who can do what with what, so forth and so on. I believe that, and then at some point, Between now and the next peak, we're going to see the introduction and integration of CBDCs and everything going on right now. This isn't just a United States effort. This whole thing, this whole plan, this agenda that's been laid out for decades now has been laid out by major think tanks all over the world. I mean, you could go back as far as the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberger, all these groups. All of these groups are kind of like arms and extensions of like, not the World Economic Forum, that's another group, but all of these think tanks where all these world leaders come together and they make decisions behind closed doors, not of public record, but they basically make all these decisions as to who's playing on the field that day and what plays are going to be made. And the rest of it plays out in real time with the news media basically shaving the corners so that it's not so abrasive. That's what I think. And, you know, think I'm crazy. You think I'm a conspiracy theorist all you want. But every time I see a lot of this stuff, I always immediately visualize this grand scale picture and all of the players on the board and how all of these players are affecting change in their own way and how it all connects. And then I see how it all gets filtered down almost like a vodka through a filtering process. It starts real rough. But as it gets further and further through the media and through everything else, it just gets just nice enough that you can actually swallow it maybe without needing a lime. And that's ultimately what we end up with. And so, you know, I think things are going to get better as well as worse. It's just going to depend ultimately on where you stand with things. Finally, SEC internal investigator leaves a month after raising staff retention issues. Nicholas Padilla, the Securities and Exchange Commission's acting inspector general, has left the agency after 38 years of federal service. It's a pretty big deal, really. The Securities and Exchange Commission has lost its acting inspector general a month after he raised problems with the agency's staff retention under Chair Gary Gensler. This looks like a shot fired to me. I don't know. I don't know enough about how the SEC operates or the internal workings of things, but given a lot of what's been coming out about Mr. Gary Gensler lately, this could be a shot fired and could be one of the first of many. I don't know. But it sounds like this gentleman, after basically having been being in his position for 38 years, has a bone to pick with Gary, and I don't really know why. Nicholas Padilla has left as Inspector General, where he led investigations, Bloomberg Law reported. Though that his page on the SEC site has not been updated, representatives for the agency confirmed that he left in November. So we're just hearing about it now. According to the SEC's representative, he had reached the statutory maximum of his service, which his page notes is entailing more than 38 years in various federal and military positions. Padilla cannot be reached for comment. Yeah, I don't. What do you say if he's really trying to? Yeah, I mean, did he leave because he's already done too much time in service, or is he leaving because he's got a problem with Gensler? I don't know. In October, Padilla reported to Gensler on the SEC's loss of staff. The SEC seems to be facing challenges to its retention efforts. The report reads, noting in particular the pace of the SEC's rulemaking and lack of policy communication under Gensler as a source of strife. Well, what all's happening with Gary Gensler right now? And maybe why could so many of these people have been up in arms? Maybe they knew a lot of things that the public didn't at the time, and they were just like, hell with this, I'm out. I don't know, but it doesn't look good. So, you know, hey, listen, it's Friday, and hopefully this news finds you well. Bitcoin's currently trading at $17,135, and maybe it goes up a little bit more over the weekend, or maybe we get a weekend crash and see a new low. Who knows? I personally don't really care, because all I'm going to do is average down until 2024. So to each their own. Hopefully this finds you well. You have an enjoyable, fun, safe weekend, and I'll see you soon. Crow your coins.